What's up, everyone? This is InCamp Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Hepler. This is one of those special moments where I get to have one of my close buddies on the show because, a lot of my friends are busy people. And in fact, this guy, we've been trying to make a time to get on a podcast together since March, I think. And we finally made it happen. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason. This episode has a lot of good stories intertwined. One real good one at the end. That's probably one of my favorite stories from last fall. But this guy, I have a couple of friends that are the most killingest people I know. The type that catch everything that swims and kill everything that crawls. I have a few of those friends, and this is one of them. And in fact, as far as species goes, he killed so many different things last year, and we get to talk about those throughout the podcast, how he made it happen. He gives a lot of good advice on out-of-state hunting, how to do it with limited time, and we just talk about a lot of different things that are worthwhile and are very relatable. So I hope you enjoy this episode and our guest today. This is InCamp Podcast. Folks at home, this is my good buddy, one of my actual hunting buddies. I don't have, it's nice when I get to have a hunting buddy on here. One of my buddies from home, Judd, a.k.a. Justin, a.k.a. Slays Everything, the killer, Justin Eberly himself. What's up, dude?
Thanks for having me on, Aaron. Looking forward to it. First time ever on a podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll make it easy on you then. I have wanted to have you on since pretty much the beginning, and we finally made it happen.
I've canceled on you a lot of times over the last few months, and then just didn't get back to you on rescheduling. So it's good we finally got it on the calendar, and we're actually on here talking today.
Yeah, well, your buddies who show up in hunting season and that kind of thing.
Yes. Hey, where are we hunting tomorrow? Goose season did open, so yesterday was the first day.
Did you get out?
No, I scouted a little bit on Saturday and went to the usual places and didn't see any birds, so I didn't try it too hard.
Yeah, on the way to work yesterday, there's maybe 4 or 5 cars here, 4 or 5 cars there. There were no lie, that parking lot there, easily 50 cars in the parking lot and maybe 100 to 150 cars just lining the road on both sides. It was wild.
It was the same last year on opening morning, and I know because one of your other guests who's been on the show a couple times, Richie Yoder, stood us up and didn't show up to go goose hunting. So he had the decoys, and we were standing in the field not sure what to do. So I went home at not a normal time to go home in the morning on the first day of goose and dove season, and a similar thing. There had to be 100 cars parked along the road there. It's crazy.
It's amazing anything makes it out.
I know after day one, it's like, it's over. There's no wildlife here.
So this is what surprises me about you, Justin. The fact that you have not been on a podcast. For those of you who don't know Judd has a reputation in our group. You probably kill the most stuff, or at least last year you did. But man, you hunted aoudad sheep. You killed 3 great bucks. You went duck hunting in Arkansas. You killed 3 awesome turkeys this spring.
Mm-hmm.
You just filled it all up. So we're going to talk a lot about that and how you fill your season up, because that's kind of really what InCamp is. And one of the cool things, when we broke it all down, you, Rich, and I were packing out the buck that I killed. And you looked at Rich and you're like, you remember when we got all crazy about archery hunting and kind of, foo-fooed the rifle thing and camp and stuff, and it wasn't as good? He's like, and you just said, man, after just doing this, I forgot how much fun just doing this is. And that's really kind of what it's all about, is if you're not having fun doing it all and getting it all done, then it's just the horns on the wall without a story behind it.
Yeah, it loses the fun factor pretty quickly. And it's interesting just how your perspective and your goals change as life goes on. I go back 15 years ago and it was all about, well, how do I get famous in the hunting industry? How do I how do I be a YouTuber? And that's great. Like, hey, more power to the people who do that. And I think it's great. I consume a bunch of content on YouTube and via podcasts, but that's not my own personal goal anymore. Now it's more like you said, we had a lot of fun. That was the first time you were at camp. I didn't grow up in
Yeah.
that camp background. I grew up hunting
Hmm.
family property that was the same places that my grandfather hunted and all that. So never ventured out. And then I got old enough and had enough money to do it on my own. And I got really into the other stuff. There's a point where I was carrying $10,000 of camera equipment to the tree every time and dropped that camera equipment out of the tree at one point in Illinois. I just don't like doing that anymore. Now it's more of like just the camaraderie and like going to camp. It's how many people can we get there? How many
Yeah.
people can we share the stories with and just have all the good memories in the woods and just even at camp at night.
Yeah,
Cooking dinner
for
and
sure.
all that stuff. It all goes into lots of good memories.
Yeah, man, 100%. So since we're talking a little bit about it, can you just go ahead and tell people who you are, how you got your start in
Yep.
the outdoors, what it means to you?
Been around it my whole life, really because of my grandfather. My dad was never a hunter. Just he was a little bit here and there, but never really successful. He actually stopped hunting when I turned 12. Never really got the experience of hunting with him, but his dad was always my connection. So,
Yeah.
like I said, grew up hunting family property, just deer hunting, always rifle hunting. I finally picked up a bow in 2010 and I that same year I got my first trail camera. It took the D batteries and the roll of film and put that in the woods and immediately got hooked on bow hunting because it was like, wait a second, I've never shot a buck in my life. I shot does and well button bucks if those count, uh but I got into archery hunting and put that first trail camera out and it was like, wait a second, all the deer are here in October and November. I need to bow hunt them. So I bought my first bow. It was a PSE Bow Madness from
Nice.
Cabela's. Had them set it up, and the
Yeah.
rest is history. I was hooked. So then, as we got older, started hunting more waterfowl with buddies, and really took the left turn down the waterfowl path. And so you see these birds behind me. That redhead's from North Dakota. The black duck's actually from PA, but
Yeah.
really got hooked on that. Really wasn't interested in deer hunting for a number of years, and then sort of got burned out on that. It got too competitive. It's very visible when birds are flying through the sky where they're going. Didn't have any private land access, so sort of got more into the individualized private aspect of deer hunting.
Right.
Um, Rich Yoder and I started filming our hunts together. First experience with that, actually, we did a hunt, learn, compete event in Illinois. We won the competition, which is pretty cool.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we've got the plaque at camp on the wall. Got first
Nice.
place. I killed my first out of state deer on that trip, and then we were hooked. We wanted to film everything. We were gonna do all that stuff, and so we did that for a couple years. Rich and I realized that we can't be friends if we hunt out of the same tree, especially if there's a camera involved. we we're great friends, except when we do great on trips. We need to get there and then go our own way. So we took a break on the filming thing and just kind of focus on doing our own trips and so now I'm fortunate. My job provides a lot of opportunities to do some pretty cool things with hunting and fishing and the outdoors in general. So I get to do some customer entertainment. So I get to see and experience some really cool things from that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where
And
the
I,
turkeys and the aoudad and all that come in.
for sure. You have a relatable job. You have a job that an average guy can get if they work hard and do the things that they do. So it's not like you're not a hunting celebrity. You know what I mean?
Nope. No, yeah. I mean, I work in sales, very blue collar industry. So
Yep.
it's something that anybody could do. I get a lot of wow, you never work. You're always doing something fun. The reality is I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
But that also
This,
entails getting to go on some pretty cool trips.
yeah, this is why it took us 6 months to have a podcast.
Yes. My phone has rang 4 times since we started. Just that's just
Yeah.
how it goes. It's the trade-off.
uh, so you're pretty good at planning out of state hunts. How do you decide you're going to plan an out of state hunt? What do you decide, and what things are you like, is it your decision making? Oh, I really want to hunt that. Or is it just kind of what somebody pitches to you or something like that?
I would say it's a mix. So sometimes it is because of the customer entertainment piece. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like, hey, this customer wants to do this, so then I start doing the research and plan out the trip. Sometimes, for me, it's more of, I guess, if I'm planning my own personal trip, it's definitely this is the animal that I want to pursue, and it's more so I would say
Yeah.
the animal than it is the state or like any certain destination. Very
Hmm.
much a data person, which doesn't necessarily fit
Yeah.
with sales, but I like the research piece and kind of the analysis of planning things out, doing the research. I'm kind of the points manager for my immediate friends group. Like I'm always the one
Okay.
every time there's a window for, hey, buy these preference points or apply for this. I'm the guy that sends the text out and then the 3 reminders to make sure that they actually go and buy those points because I'm at a point where I want to do these things that take years to plan,
Right.
right? So if and I want them to be part of it. So
Right.
I'm reminding them because I don't want there to be a situation where number 1, I don't get to go because they messed up. Number
Hmm.
2, they don't get to be part of the group.
Right. Yeah. So because it's a long-term process, what kind of things are you using to decide on, okay, I need to collect points for this, or we can hunt over the state for that, or what kind of work are you putting into that?
So, definitely I'm a firm believer in Go Hunt. Love their tools for the
Yeah.
filtering and draw odds. I'll be a lifetime member of that, I would say, because it's a really helpful tool for me. Like I said, I am a data person too, so I'll talk about a trip we planned in 23
Yeah.
for
Talk
archery
about it.
elk hunt. So, one of my buddies and I decided that we were going to out data the other hunters and figure out how to pick the right unit to go on this just over the counter elk hunt. So we started looking at all kinds of different statistics at like
Yeah.
hunters per square mile, harvest success rates, bull to elk ratio, average
Hmm.
steepness, just lots of different data. And then we put it all in Excel spreadsheet for every unit. And then we did a rank average formula for each criteria. So it would basically give a score to each unit for each of the criteria based on what we said was preferential or not.
Right.
And so that's how we chose where to hunt, except we actually didn't end up going in the top 10 uh, because we realized as we went through the process that some of that data wasn't really like harvest success rates in a unit that have not a lot of roadless areas, right?
Right.
Harvest is gonna be higher because people can drive places and just get into elk easier. So
Oh yeah.
kind of midstream, we sort of just reworked the data to say, okay, well, you know what, we don't like that unit, even though that unit is the best one for our odds of actually seeing and harvesting a bull elk,
Right.
probably. But we went to I think number 12 on the list. And
Okay.
day 1 we hiked into fresh elk sign. Day 2 they ran through our campsite overnight. Day 3
Nice.
one of my buddies missed one. So a
Yeah.
nice bull.
Yeah.
So I think like that research helped us a ton to figure it out.
Well, for somebody going from Pennsylvania to, and what state was that? That was Colorado, you said?
Colorado, yep.
Yeah. So from people going from Pennsylvania to Colorado and actually having elk encounters within 3 days, that's wild, because most of the time it's 3 days of trekking without seeing poop, and you might hear a bugle.
Yep.
at a distance, and then, all right, well, let's try this again next year, and build off what you learn. So that's some pretty in-depth research that I think a lot of people can use. What kind of data points so you talked about like roadless areas and stuff like that. What do you find to be the most important points to you if you had to pick a top three?
So for me at this point, I'll trade some opportunity percentage for less people. So
Uh-huh.
where we hunted on that trip, we ran into the same group of guys 3 times, calling each other in because it was opening weekend. We were there. Bulls weren't really bugling very well. It was pretty warm, so we just were kind of in the same general area, and we kept running into them. And so, especially
Uh-huh.
on an over the counter hunt like that, where
Yeah.
there's just bound to be more people, I'm going to look probably more at hunters per square mile. Try to get some stats on the roadless areas. So I'm the benefactor of I get to go on some pretty cool, cushy trips. But when
Yeah.
it's my own personal trips, typically I'd vote to go the hard way. So to me, it's like, give me the steepest, gnarliest terrain with the least amount of people, and I'll go do the work to go find the animals in that country.
Didn't Rich tell me you ran a 5K with a cigarette in your mouth one time?
That is not true. That is not true. No.
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of believe it because I think you could do it. So, so this winter, I got to spend rifle camp with you and Rich and the crew up there, and you Cam Haynes a button buck, but you didn't really Cam Haynes it. You kind of like strapped the legs to the bottom of your pack, so it was totally
Mhm.
weighing that thing down. And you walked out of there like it was nothing. It was hilarious. I loved every minute of that.
It was the hard way.
It was the hard way. So we ended up, we ended up. You remember we ended up dragging out 3 deer that night because
Oh,
you
yeah.
and Rich that dude, that was one of the most fun nights shooting does I've ever had in my life.
If I recall, there were a bunch of misses, myself included as well, which would have
There were,
made that pile a little bigger.
yeah, there was potential for us to be carrying 5 of them out of there. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
Uh,
We have some different camp traditions when it comes to rifle
yeah,
season than most.
it was such a fun time. I can't wait to do it again. Got my tags the other day in the mail. I'm excited.
Yep. It's coming quick.
It's coming quick, man. Okay, so you get to go on these cushy hunts, which are still not. We're going to talk about a story at the end about your aoudad. Still wasn't that easy,
It was
but you
not easy.
go. No, you still go. That was a guided hunt,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
You still occasionally go use an outfitter or a guide for certain hunts, whether it be for yourself or it's through work. But when do you decide that guided versus unguided is worth it to you? What goes into that decision making process and kind of what makes sense to you?
So we're kind of on the elk topic, so let's keep talking about elk. So
Yeah.
I've elk hunted 4 times if you count my PA elk hunt. So twice in Idaho, once in Colorado, and then I had a cow tag in PA a couple years ago. Um,
A
so
successful cow tag,
yeah,
nonetheless.
DIY.
Yes, sir.
DIY late season cow. It should have been over faster than it actually was, but I missed. I got I got buck fever on that cow elk. Missed, but uh, yeah, we'll just gloss over that. So the for me, it's kind of to the point with the elk where I'm limited on the amount of time that I can go spend in the West hunting for elk. Number one is farther to get there. It's just a bad time of the year for me to be off of work for extended periods of time.
Hmm.
Uh, and I've not actually brought home an elk yet. So to me, it's getting to the point where I need to spend more money or spend more time, and I'd like to have some more success. So how do I maximize the odds for the amount of time or money that I'm going to spend, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I'm seriously considering at this point booking a guided elk hunt because I want to up those odds, and I don't have the time to go do it every single year as much as I would like to. So
Yeah.
it kind of all comes down to, though, from there, it's like, well, what is there a referral? Is there a certain state? Is there something along those lines that kind of jogs the interest and just sort of pushes it forward? So I picked up my PA elk mount from the taxidermist a couple weeks ago, and we just started talking about elk hunting. And he's like, I've got a great place in Oregon. It's over the counter tags. It's high success rates. So I'm like, that sounds like a place that I would be interested in going. Right. So I
Yeah.
reached out to the outfitter, had a great conversation with the outfitter, but that's a referral. So I immediately have more confidence in just randomly calling a guy whose phone number I have from the taxidermist, versus going on Google and just saying, you know what, this outfitter looks nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go there and give them thousands of dollars, and I don't know what I'm getting into.
Yeah. It's always kind of like a hairy thing because you're spending a lot of money for a pretty serious service that isn't always taken that seriously. Like you go to the outdoor show and there's freaking 1,500 guides
Yep.
in that, and like, how do you pick one? Are they all good? Or, where can you find their review? Like if you're finding their reviews on their website,
Yep.
uh, is
Are they
it that
biased?
reliable?
Right.
Yeah.
That I try to at this point, I try to let other people take those risks for me, and then
Yeah.
I rely on their feedback after they've come back. Although I have two great stories of trips that I ended up on as a result of randomly going there. So, Kansas outfitter that I've hunted with a bunch of times now,
Yeah.
personally, was all because I got invited on a duck hunt there. This should be 10 years ago. And
Okay.
they booked that trip at the PA Outdoor Show. And so
Oh,
someone backed
cool.
out. So I got invited last minute. It was my wife's family, and went and had a great time. And I've deer hunted there 4 times. Love it. I would hunt there every year, and
Wow.
spend the money to go back there. And then Ohio, I have another story where I took a customer on a trip. They found the outfitter, suggested the outfitter to me. I booked the trip and we went, and I didn't know that the customer never even talked to the outfitter. They just found him on Google and were like, this is a nice website. This will be the 6th year that I've hunted there, and it's great. Like, absolutely phenomenal hunting, phenomenal people. We'll go back until the end of time.
I think you can get lucky like that, but there are definitely things that you can do, I guess, to stack the odds. And I think referrals are probably great. Are there any red flags to you when when you're looking for a guide?
Uh, say necessarily red flags, but I will say it drives me crazy when there's not a price listed on the website. Like, just tell me
Yeah.
how much your hunt costs. I don't want to be a tire kicker if I think that this hunt costs $5,000 and it costs 15,
Yeah.
right? That's a big gap, and so I think sometimes I just don't reach out to an outfitter because there's not a price listed.
Yeah.
And I don't want to waste their time. I want to be mindful that everybody's busy, and just let me get the information on the website or some other means without having to even reach out to you. If it's just not in my budget, or if there's some other information even outside of price that, like, you could just disclose it on the website. That the aoudad hunter or outfitter that I was with last year, Scotty Campbell, Topo, Texas, does not
Yeah.
have a website. And I was like, Scotty, I feel bad. I'm wasting your time. I'm asking you all these questions. If you just had a website, I wouldn't have to bother you. And he's like, man, I made it 30 years without having a website. I figure I don't really need one at this point. And he's right. Like,
Yeah.
once you go, you talk to, and I think Scotty just likes to talk to people, prospective
Sure.
clients, because and this is the devil's advocate to the statement I just made. If I have to reach out, then they have to have a conversation with me, and they're kind
Yeah.
of judging me, right? Am I a good fit to be in their camp, and do they want me as a client?
Sure.
So I think that
Well,
that's an important part that you don't get from the website.
it almost makes it like the guide is trying to invest their time because if they don't think you're a good fit and they're like, maybe they just kind of steer you away from it.
Right.
that's them knowing they can sell a hunt to somebody else too,
Yep,
you know?
for sure.
So that's kind of, that's pretty valid. I think that guided hunts kind of get poo-pooed because guys are like, oh, you didn't work hard. You didn't do it on your own. It's not the same experience. So how do you get the most out of your experience when you're trying to hunt on a guided hunt? Because I've never done one either. And I think they're great. I think guides have a good place in the hunting industry. So kind of just a shout out to that. But what do you think about making the most of that experience?
So I think that's kind of individualized. It's what are your goals for the trip, right? So the the Ohio hunt that I go on every year,
Hmm.
like I'm picky there, and that's a early season hunt. We're there for the opener. The likelihood of those big mature bucks being on their feet is not that great, but I'm still picky. I'm looking to harvest the mature deer. For me, though, I will say it's not about the score; it's about the age. I just love killing old bucks. I'm more like you give me a 7-year-old 7-pointer
Hmm.
that's all beat up and ear hanging down. Like like I would rather put my tag on that deer than a lot of other deer walking through the woods. Don't get me wrong. A 200-incher walks in front of me. A 150-inch deer walks in front of me. I'm gonna be elated. I killed a Kansas deer last year that he was a 6-pointer
Yeah.
because he broke off both brow tines and both G2s.
Yeah.
He was 19 and a half inches wide. He scored
It's a huge buck. Yeah.
122 as a 6-pointer.
Big
Yeah. So,
deer.
but that was old, scarred up deer. He had battle wounds all over the place, all broken up. So he was a fighter. That was just a
Yeah.
cool. But I think, like, to answer your question, it's just your own individual goals. To me, when I'm on a guided hunt, I like to be the favorite. If I'm being honest, I want to be the guide's favorite because I'm easy to talk to. I'm go along with whatever their goals are for when we're leaving, when we're coming back, when we're eating, what we're doing.
Yeah.
Go along and help other hunters if I'm tagged out, tracking deer. I just like to be helpful, um,
Yeah.
easy to be around. So honestly, that's my goal as much as anything when I'm on a hunt.
Yeah. You're definitely a camp oriented person, man. Like when I rolled into camp last year, you were ready there with the laptop and the SD cards. Like, let's go, man. You know,
Yep.
and that's part of the whole experience. It's most of why we do it is just to enjoy those moments of hanging out and telling the stories and doing all that kind of stuff. And I think that people that think a guided hunt, you can't get that from a guided hunter is wrong. Cause I bet you Ohio feels like deer camp to you, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's typically the same other people that are around each year when we're there. So we've had some new faces along the way, but I would say I've definitely made friends on that trip. And same for Kansas. Ironically, my first time deer hunting in Kansas, I ended up being there with a customer of the company I work for. We had no idea what industry we were both in, and one day we're driving out and he's like, yeah, I'm going on a trip. I bought enough materials. So my supplier is taking me on this trip. And I was like, what do you do for work? And so then we figured out that he actually buys from my company, different region, but so it's cool. Like it's a small world out there, and you definitely end up making friends. And you're right, it is kind of like a camp environment when you're on
Yeah.
those trips. And hey, the same argument can be made for public land versus private land. I hunt both, and it is what it is. It's all about what your own personal goals are, really, right?
Oh, for sure, man. And it's kind of a big pissing match right now, like, oh, if you don't shoot it on public, it's
It
too
doesn't count.
easy.
It's
And
not a real deer.
yeah, please. And
Yeah.
it like the deer on private still have the same instincts. The one thing they're missing is pressure. And as soon as you put it on, sometimes on private land, they actually could be more sensitive because they're not used to it.
So I have access to a tiny property, and
Yeah.
and I never would see a lot. Once I really got into archery hunting, just being in the woods on that property more, I would get big bucks on camera in the summer, and then by mid-October they'd just be gone and you just
Yeah.
wouldn't see them anymore. And it was because I was hunting every day I possibly could hunt. And you're talking about 6 acres. That it doesn't take much to put pressure on deer on a 6 acre property. So now it's become more of a, hey, when the conditions are right, I'm going to be in the
Hmm.
woods. And um, that's made all the difference in the world. Just no pressure. And I'm fortunate that the properties around that property they're a bunch of sanctuary properties, but there are some other properties that border that property that have immense pressure on them. And it's a
Right.
very much a brown is down mentality.
Right.
But I killed a 5-year-old deer last year on
Yeah.
that property. So
And a good one the year before that.
and a 4-year-old the year before that too. Yeah. So
See,
uh
see, now I know what I'm talking about. The guy that kills all the shit.
that
uh,
that's been an interesting little property. And I think I will say, I think like hunting that micro size property, every
yeah,
movement you make, every decision you make impacts the deer and where they're going, what they're doing, when they're doing it. So I think that has actually made me a better hunter. Like someone could argue, well, you're just in a great property, it's a travel corridor, any argument you want to make, right? But at the end of the day, it's just being very strategic in your decision making.
yeah,
That's how you kill those deer on that property.
yeah. And that makes a lot of sense because it translates into being able to hunt something bigger if you know how to be sensitive and where to be sensitive, those areas. Well, and especially when you're hunting big pieces like we hunt up north, you know when you have to stop making noise. You know what I mean? When the wind matters, when it doesn't, and that's all stuff that saves you time, saves you energy, gets you where you need to be and the way you need to get there. That's all very, very key stuff. I asked, well, I wasn't going to ask this question, but I'm going to now because we're kind of talking about it. When you're hunting out of state versus in state, people always kind of are saying like, oh, well, they're from Iowa or Kansas and they don't really like if they came to Pennsylvania, they wouldn't know what they're doing. You get to observe deer in a pretty sensitive area. I think somebody coming here from Iowa just probably has a lot of experience being exposed to deer and knowing deer's habits. So they probably end up being a good hunter here. But what are your
Hmm.
thoughts on it?
I would agree. I think
Yeah.
it's obviously different. We have very diverse habitat terrain in Pennsylvania
Mm-hmm.
compared to a lot of other states. So someone in the southeastern part of Pennsylvania is hunting probably a lot more open areas with travel corridors similar to what I've experienced in the Midwest. I've not been to Iowa yet, so can't really speak specifically to hunting in Iowa, but I've been to Kansas a bunch of times and I understand what it means to hunt in Kansas. And
Mm-hmm.
I I would say it's pretty similar. Like you've got to position yourself in the right place. Out there, it's immense seas of corn and soybeans, and then you've got a little piece of woods to get into. But you still got to figure
Mm-hmm.
out how to get in and out. It's all access at that point. How
Sure.
do I get into that tree without spooking the deer that are in the field before or after dark or whatever? So when you go up north and the deer density is much lower in northern Pennsylvania.
Yep.
You got the big woods and it's more mountainous terrain, but they're still doing the same things. I would say naturally, someone who's only hunted corn fields and like edges in Iowa or Kansas is going to have a harder time going in the big woods because it's just
Yep.
vast seas of nothingness. But if they're a good deer hunter, they're a good deer hunter and they're going to adapt pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. What about scouting out of state versus in state? You kind of talked about doing research as far as points and data goes, and I'm sure you do a lot of e-scouting. But when you're at home, how much more focus do you put on research on maps versus in-person scouting or in-season scouting, that kind of thing?
I'm actually a terrible e-scouter. So I said I like the analysis and the data and the
Yeah.
research, But when it comes to sitting and looking through maps and just looking at terrain and all that, like, I'm not that guy. I actually rely on other friends to do more of that typically. So my personality assessment at work says that I don't get lost in the details. So I I like doing the initial research, and then honestly, for me, it's more like the boots on the ground. I just like I I would rather do the work when I get there because I think all of us have experience. You base everything on historical sign or where you think the animal is going to be, and you go in the woods and it's just not there. I can speak to hunting some of those same properties over and over and over again. The deer do not do the same thing every year,
No.
even on a micro parcel, right? So to me, it's more of like, okay, I want to narrow down where I actually want to go, but I'm more of a boots on the ground scout while I'm hunting. I'm going to cover the most ground and try to scout live.
Yeah.
That's typically my goal.
So if you're getting to a place, are you all right, let's say we got to camp tonight. Are you hunting right away tomorrow morning? Are you kind of going in gray light and walking around for a little while? Or are you just going to go to a place that you know has historically been good and then check something out a little bit later?
I'm probably I'm probably gonna if we're going to camp, I'm probably gonna be hunting because I'm gonna go to a historically good spot and
Yeah.
then I'm probably not gonna stay in a tree very long. I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna be out of there by 8 maybe. Uh, and then I'm covering ground. My,
Yeah.
hey, my goal this year is to actually not even carry a saddle or a tree stand because it's just more stuff to carry in the woods
Yeah.
and my goal this year is to carry a decoy and kill one on the ground. So
Yeah.
trying to minimalize how much stuff I'm carrying in the woods. And so I took a trip to Kentucky last year. I got invited by a coworker, and so I showed up at 9 o'clock at night on Friday,
Uh-huh.
and went to bed, got up, never had stepped foot. I didn't even know where I was going in the woods to try an e-scout. So in the morning, he tells me this is okay, follow me. We're going to my farm. And so I got there and he says, okay, maybe just go up that hill. There's a ridge, it's gonna come to a bench. Just sit at that bench and that's probably a good spot. So I'm okay, I'll do that. So I bumped deer as I was going in and I made it till it was probably not even 8 o'clock in my
Uh-huh.
saddle. I'm like, I've got 2 days to hunt. I don't have time to be sitting in this tree right now.
Yeah.
So I got down and I just started walking around the ridge tops, just looking for sign, and that should have actually been buck number 4 last year. So I made the cardinal sin mistake of still hunting. I stopped 10 feet from a tree to look
Uh-huh.
around and decide where I was going to sit, and I looked to my left and it was very steep hillsides, like real steep, and
Huh.
I looked down this hillside and there's a little bench and there was a really nice buck bedded down there. And I was not near a tree to have a good rest for my rifle.
Right.
And he jumped up and went to run. I rushed a shot and it just didn't work out. But it, one of those things where I'm gonna cover ground fast, and I end up bumping a lot of deer because I go too fast. Because I'm like, I need to
Okay.
get to that spot. I want to see what's up there. I'm gonna go over the next ridge. I'll go around that bend,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to find deer, find sign, cover as much ground as possible, especially on a trip where I have limited time like that.
Yeah. But you're getting pretty successful at it. That's kind of that's all we did at deer camp last year. We did the saddle thing in the morning on the opener and it just didn't pan out. After
Mm-mm.
that we walked around and between the three of us we saw a lot of deer in 3 days, man, in
Yes.
a big woods piece like that. How do you think you're going to change your strategy? When is it important to go slower?
So I would say for me, it's like if you run into a bunch of really fresh sign, I'm going to slow down a lot.
Yeah.
I'll go back to that archery elk hunt from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
We kind of got into this section as we're just sort of as 3 of us, and we're just sort of all going through the woods together, looking for sign, following trails, whatever. and just trying to catch up to elk because like the sign kept getting fresher and fresher and fresher. We got to this point
Mhm.
where all of a sudden it was like, man, you can smell the elk in here. We're
Yeah.
close. And then everything slowed to a like, it just grinds to a halt. And we're knocking arrows, we're splitting up, we're just slowly going through the woods at that point, we didn't actually bust anything out of there, never even saw an elk or heard an elk in that section. But like when I get into that fresh sign, I change my tactics a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, man. I think that's pretty valid. You told me that story about the elk before, and it's such a thing because when you hear a buck grunt and you're like, was that a grunt? Was it not a grunt? It's the same thing as like you guys smelled where those elk were coming from, and it's one of those things that you might not notice if you weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
And those are key things to remember when you are in season scouting and moving kind of slow. Like, hey, what do we got to do here to make this work?
Well,
Um,
and never stop when you're not standing right next to a tree. Just take the
yeah,
extra 2 steps and be right next to a tree. Because not only do you have a rifle rest, you also have something that you can hide behind potentially.
yeah. So as you're moving along this stuff, though, you are using some serious woodsmanship skills to read sign. What kind of sign is important to you when you're hunting deer specifically?
That's a good question. So I would say I'm looking for fresh scrapes, but it's got to have a pretty good licking branch,
Yeah,
seriously broken up, right? You see so many scrapes in the woods come October that it's just the ground is raked up.
yeah,
That doesn't mean that a deer has really ever been there more than one time. So to me,
right.
it's like if I'm gonna mark a scrape in my on X, it's got to have a solid licking branch that's broken up for
Yeah,
sure. I don't put a lot of weight in rubs personally. Honestly, tracks. Like if I can see a big buck track, I'm gonna follow that thing until I
yeah,
can't.
yeah. I feel like rubs get everybody excited because if it's a big tree, you automatically think, oh, big buck, big tree.
They're just very visible. You can see them so far away, especially on a big tree.
I think the most important thing about a rub is, especially during middle to end of October, anything that's a rub line is more important than a
Yeah.
single rub or scattered all about. Like a direct rub line, especially if it goes to and from an area,
Yep.
that's what you want to look for when you're looking for rubs.
Or I
When
mean
do you
the signpost rub, right? That I'm gonna put a lot more weight into that than a couple rubs in the woods.
Yeah, yeah. Especially because it's kind of marking an area. All right, you find sign, but maybe it's not as fresh as you'd like, or when do you move on and where do you move on to?
So if we're talking the big woods up at camp, I'm pretty much running a route if I'm unfortunately, I don't actually get to hunt up there that much. The last couple of years, I haven't had a buck tag at the end of October or in gun season, so
Oh,
I haven't.
so such a bummer.
Yeah, happiness problems.
Yeah.
Uh, happiness problems for sure. I only bow hunted 3 times last year, um, so it's a little depressing, but also great problem to have. But no, so if I'm at camp, I'm kind of running a route. So it's a preset. Well, I'm going to go here and then I'm going to go over to here and then down that way. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to run a loop so that I'm not backtracking at any point in my route. I do have a problem with stopping at the right time. Like I'll see
Mhm.
a good sign and it's like, well, let's go another 10 yards and see what's up there. And then you just end up inherently going too far instead of saying, you know what, let's stop here. Let's stay here for a while.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It happens to the best of us all the time. So you're the data-driven guy. What about things that you follow that are important to you, like weather patterns? Is the moon important to you, or is it a gimmick?
I wouldn't say it's a gimmick, but it's not important to me. I come and go on the whole cold front thing. Those deer don't disappear out of the woods just because the temperature got warmer.
Yeah.
But I will also say that if there's a 30-degree morning in the last week of October, the first 30-degree morning, no matter what,
Hmm.
I'm gonna be in a tree, and that's
Yeah.
what's happened to me. Actually, October 18th, it wasn't even the last week of October last year. We had a 30-degree morning, and I killed that deer at 7
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning. The year before,
Right.
October 24th, it was a 30-degree morning, and I killed that deer
Yeah.
at 7 o'clock in the morning. So, out of the same tree, by the way.
Nice.
But so I do put weight on that, like where you have, especially if it's a big swing in temperature.
Yeah.
I that is impactful to me.
What about if you're going to hunt hot weather? Is there something that kind of stands out to you that you're like, I need to hunt here, even though it's 75 degrees?
Uh, Not so much. I try to not hunt when it's too hot. I save that time for save
Yeah.
that time for later. I would
Yeah.
say the exception to that is Ohio. Like I said, I'm there opening week, so it's typically pretty warm. So on that one though, like I'm relying on my guide and the outfitter to say, "Hey, we want you in this spot at this time," and I will
Right.
rot in whatever tree stand or shooting house they put me in. Uh, I really don't like hunting out of box blinds. I just like it takes away from the experience a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But we had 2 years ago, the outfitter out there was like, Justin, I know you don't like hunting in box blinds, but you're going to go to this box blind and you are going to sit there until I tell you that you can move. And I was like, all right, Jeff, you know what my goals are. So if you tell me that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. Can I sit there in my underwear? Like, I don't know. It's just hot.
Yeah, man, I I like to be hardcore, but then at the same time it's like, all right, well, if I can take that day, that 75-degree hunt, I have other days to hunt. I have,
Right.
lots of vacation to hunt. That could be the day that I get to spend with my family, and it's the same thing for bad weather. It's like, oh, the deer moving in the rain. Well, I hate hunting in the rain. I'm
I
not
hate
gonna
being wet.
lie.
I don't need to
Yeah,
hunt when it's raining.
yeah. Like I can go fishing in the rain a little bit or whatever, but I really, really hate hunting in 80-degree weather, and I hate hunting in the rain. And if my family is home, more than likely I'm going to be home too because it's my time where I can get some balance,
Hmm.
and I'm not like if I stay home and it's 30 degrees in the morning, I drive my wife nuts, dude. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I should have went this morning. Oh, and like doing all that stuff. I'm sure you're the same way.
Oh yeah, and I'm very indecisive too, so I'll be like, yeah, I'm just gonna stay home. I know it's important that we do X thing, and
Yeah.
I think by the end of the morning, my wife's like, please, can you just go tonight? Like I you're driving me crazy. So yeah, I
Get
think
out of
like,
here.
and now especially with Sunday hunting in PA, that's another thing to balance because I've historically treated it as, well, okay, it's Sunday. I can't hunt today. I'm gonna do all the things around the house that I need to get done. I'm gonna spend time with the family today. Now that changes, but does
Yeah.
that mean that you can rely on the weather a little more because maybe Saturday is rainy, but that's my only day to hunt this week, so I'm tempted to go, or it's hot, so I'm tempted to go.
Right.
But then there's a big cold front coming Sunday, or the weather's going to
Hmm.
be better. Now I can trade those days a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. How many times last year did we all say, oh man, if we could hunt Sunday, it would have been today?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's been many
Pretty
many
much.
years.
Yeah. Pretty much every single one.
The work family hunting balance is a tough thing, especially my wife is a saint. She grew up just being very independent, and that's translated to our marriage. So now we got two little kids, though, that my daughter's doing cheerleading, my son's doing football. They both have practice the same day and the same time each
Oof.
week. So it's like, how do we manage that? Not to mention, I travel for work a lot, so
Yeah.
um, So those are all things that kind of go into that decision making. Like yesterday, Rich and I were talking with another one of our buddies, Tanner, about going goose hunting. And it's like, we don't really have a
Yep.
spot. I mean, we could go, but we don't really know if there's going to be any birds around. I was like, I'm staying home. This is
Yeah.
this is not high odds day for a banner hunt. I'm going to use that political capital to not go hunting today.
You put a lot of emphasis on shot placement and shot process and practicing. If I did a better job of that, it would help me with buck fever immensely. But what about you? How does that impact you? What do you do for it? How do you feel about it?
I feel like this is a setup because I'm terrible at this. uh, it was a long time, a lot of deer that I just completely blacked out, and ducks. Like I have no idea what happened, but I'm also I kind of have a reputation that
I can only imagine you shooting a duck right now. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I thought so. Man, there's so many stories about that with me. It's crazy. So I went through a period of time where I wounded a whole bunch of deer, and
Uh-huh.
in 2020, I think it was, I stopped archery hunting at the end of October because I wounded like 4 deer, I think, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. This isn't obviously this isn't good. Like, as much as I'm out there trying to kill an animal, I don't want to harm an animal and not have the meat go to
Right.
food for my family. So I stopped hunting. I just quit.
Yeah.
And so I've taken a little bit different approach now the last couple of years where um it ties through, like, it's not always about the kill, it's about the memories and the story and everything. So I won't take low odd shots. I've practiced more, but I have the reputation of they just have to be farther away, and I'm much better at killing them. Uh, we were in North Dakota years ago, and this goose came flying over and was just circling around us, and it was way out, and I killed that bird stone dead with one shot. But if they're at 10 yards, I'm probably gonna miss. Uh, same with deer. Like I just typically I end up shooting better if it's farther away because I focus more, right? I know that I need to be extra focused and I need to follow the shot process. I'm not rushing because they're further away.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a kind of a good way to put it because not a lot of people are like, oh, you need to like talk yourself down and then do your thing, your mantra or whatever. But that's kind of a good point is that you're taking away your shot process when a deer is close because you think you don't have to think about the shot.
Right. Yep.
So thinking like bringing that into perspective is treating every animal like it's further away, like you have to be dialed at that distance is a real good thought, especially when you're giving, analogies like shooting a goose that far away or
Right.
whatever it happens to be. That's a good point, man. I'm gonna have to steal it.
Yeah, Rich has some, I forget what his line is. Trigger first, follow through, I think is what he says, and it's like
Yeah,
he has a sticker on his bow. Like
yeah,
I'm not that guy, but I definitely I think it's just like focus on the whole thing. So we shot tack, a whole group of buddies and I went. First course we shot was Ultra View. Love that course. Terrible at it. Like it's technical shots, but it's not as far, most of
yeah.
them. So I was the worst scorer of the group on that course. And then I can't remember if we went to Sitka or Prime next, and I was a high score on that one. So it was like farther shots, and I did way better than on the closer shots at Ultra View.
Huh. So I guess you have to set up all your trees to shoot a deer at 40 yards.
Yes, that'd probably be better.
When we're talking about family balance and keeping your family first, we talked about the hot weather and hunting in the rain, and maybe those are good days to kind of stay in the house. But what are things, and I already know some of this answer a little bit, but what are things that you do especially during the hunting season, that you specifically avoid to make sure that you have time for hunting and camaraderie and your family?
I'm fortunate that I joked earlier that I work 24/7, but I also
Yeah.
have a job that allows me flexibility to, like, I set my own schedule. I don't have a certain place that I need to be any day. So there's balance there, that if there is that 30-degree morning in October that I referenced, I can be in a tree typically.
Yeah.
Um, Now there are other sides of that. Like, I was at a kickoff meeting a couple years ago at our corporate office, November 1st, and my target deer showed up 20 yards from my tree stand at
Ugh.
9:30 in the morning. I was a little distracted in my budget
Ugh.
presentation, thinking
Yeah.
about how I wanted to be back in Pennsylvania, deer hunting. But uh, so so yeah, it's like right now, I spent this past weekend. This is the first year, I think, since we owned our camp that we didn't go to camp on Labor Day weekend. So, like, I spent the whole weekend at home just doing things around the house, trying to clean up projects, get everything kind of ready for fall, because it's like I want to be ready. I get a lot of leaves in my yard, so like that's my
Mhm.
big chore come November.
Yeah.
Yeah, burn tanks of fuel in my leaf blower every
Yeah.
day, just cleaning up leaves, but like try to minimize the projects that have to be done and just be prepared as much as I can be.
You took a break from social media last year.
Yep.
How did that help balance your time?
I'm definitely a victim of the scroll. I've actually been thinking about it again. It's hard because it's like I want to see everybody else's success. It's the camaraderie thing. Like,
Yeah.
um, see people posting the pictures of what they did in their western hunt, or get to November and the deer that they've killed,
Mhm.
or the places they are. So that it's hard to do it at this time of the year, but that's what I did last year. I just shut off all social media, um, mid-November, and didn't go back until February, I think.
Yeah.
And it's good. Keeps you a little bit more focused. It's hard. Like, one of my coworkers just did the same thing, and he's like, dude, I can't even believe how just like entrenched in your brain it is to just go click on Instagram and scroll. He's like,
Yeah.
I pull up my phone randomly and I just go to tap that icon that's not there anymore.
Mhm.
Um, and it takes a while to break that, and that's a big thing. So for me, though, like, I'm not a TV guy. I don't have cable at home. My
Yeah.
wife streams shows on Netflix or whatever, but I don't watch TV outside of really hunting or home improvement content. So
Yeah,
if
I'm
I
a
turn on the
YouTube
TV,
consumer.
yeah, if I turn on the TV, I'm going right to YouTube, and I'm putting on some kind of hunting content, most likely. So
Mhm.
that the social media is kind of my trade off to that. Like, I still probably between TV and social media, for the average person, I would say I'm probably still well below the average.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
People say to me all the
But
time, "How do you have time to do everything that you do?" Because I've
yeah.
also got into gardening and preserving my own stuff. I make pickles like crazy
Nice.
right now. So I've been trying all these different pickle recipes, and I like giving them out. And same with like doing deer meat. Uh, I made a bunch of deer sticks and ring bologna, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was delicious.
And I do that, though, for the enjoyment of giving it to someone else. So people always are like, "How do you have time to do all this stuff?" And my answer is always, "There's 24 hours in a day. You just got to figure out how to use them all."
Yeah.
So that's important, and to me, that outweighs the TV or social media for sure.
I guess too, did it when you quit social media, did you feel like it gave you a lot of extra time because you were getting out of that habit?
Yeah, I would say so. It takes a little while to do that, but
Yeah.
um, and I would say I've definitely slipped back into, like, with now having it, how do you stop that mindless, "Let me just pick up my phone and go on Instagram,"
Mhm.
uh, and stay focused on the task at hand.
Yeah.
I kinda had a little eye-opening experience. So my daughter, her birthday was end of July, and she got this little like toy phone thing. So it doesn't make calls or do texts. It's just kind of like games on there, and has a camera and all that. So she's been playing with this thing, and so she comes out to the garage and she's like, "Dad, can you get me a chair? I just want to set up a chair and sit here and play with my phone." And I was like, "No, put your phone in the house. We're not doing that." So I actually came in the house and I said to my wife, "We need to take this phone away from her because she's just falling into the trap." She's like, "She wants to be like her dad because I just saw you sitting in the garage on a chair looking at your phone." So like, all right, we've got
Oh
to change
man.
something here.
Oh no,
Yeah.
because it's the worst when you're like, oh, she's right. Ugh.
Yeah, she is right. Yes.
Yeah, I probably would save. There's reasons to do it. Some of the stuff that I'm doing on social media now, like
Mhm.
doing the podcast or whatever, but there's definitely reasons I don't need to be on it. We have gotten to the part in the podcast where I want to hear the true blue stories, man. So why don't you? We're going to end with the aoudad hunt. So why
Yeah.
don't you talk about, I want to know a little bit about you get to do some work on the property that you killed your buck on. So why don't you
Yep.
talk about the property, how it sets up, kind of your history around that, and then tell your buck story from last year.
So, yeah, so that property, I've been hunting it forever. It's a
Yeah.
tiny property. It's not really a secret anymore. Everyone's kind of figured out where it is, who knows me. So, can't really hide from that anymore. And unfortunately, for the publicity piece, like I've killed some nice deer on that property, and so it's not great from that perspective. But uh, it it's like half open field and half hillside,
Yeah.
north facing slope, lots of brushy cover on that, lots of mast producing trees, red oaks, white oaks, lots of walnuts going down the north slope, which I'm trying to take care of some of them. But um so years ago I would always see these deer, and they'd be, there's a part of the open field that's not my property that I can hunt on.
Uh-huh.
So I would see the deer across the open field, and they would go from the bedding out to the neighbor's ag,
Uh-huh.
and go out to those corn and bean fields. And so my thought became, how do I make the deer do something different? So they're staying on that side, staying closer to cover, because that's the more direct route from bedding to feed.
Yeah.
And I can't hunt that property. Never will be able to. No one does. So I started just planting a bunch of trees. Shout out to the Game Commission. I participate in their Howard Nursery seedling sale every year because it's the
Nice.
most value friendly option to get a bunch of trees. So I
Yeah.
planted I've planted hundreds of trees, and I always would cheap out. Like, I'm not going to put tubes on these trees because they're so cheap. Tubes are
Yeah.
twice the price of the tree. And then I would mow the trees over. And finally I was like, I gotta just tube these trees. So now I've got a bunch of trees that are coming up and doing really well. I also have a small orchard there. I've got some persimmons and apples, and I've got a couple of chestnut trees that are 10 years old now, and they're loaded with chestnuts.
Nice.
And so where the boundary line goes across the field, though, I have like a plot screen that I plant, and now I've
Yeah.
actually switched over to miscanthus to avoid. My whole goal is, like, I don't want to have to be there doing food plots. It's that time management, work, family, hunting balance. Like, how can I minimize the
Yeah.
amount of time that I'm doing the land management stuff? So it's more of like, I'm going to use the trees instead of the like turnips to have the
Right.
deer there. I'm going to do the plot screen that's a perennial instead of an annual. So
Right.
I plant it once and it's done. So I have now got this cover, and it's caused the deer to actually use my property to cross more than the other, because now my property is a lot more grown up, a lot more
Yeah.
cover, and there's also food there for them to come
Right.
and eat. So now fast forward to the story of the buck last year. So this deer was showing up every day, first thing in the morning, going right to these chestnut trees, just eating the chestnuts off the ground. So um it was like for a couple weeks straight where he was just there. And so I actually hunted My birthday's October 9th. Never killed a birthday buck. It's still a
It's on
goal of
the
mine.
list. It's on
It's
the
on the
list.
bucket list for sure. But so I hunted on my birthday, and I spooked some deer when I was going in that morning because access is a tough part of that property. And that was the only day in like a 2-week stretch where he hadn't showed up. So I think I probably bumped him out of there because I also did see a buck that he was traveling with a lot.
Yeah.
And then, like I said earlier, it got to that cold morning in October, and I actually called my shot the night before for the third time, and the second time it actually worked. I said to my wife as we were laying in bed, I'm just going to go kill that deer tomorrow and just be done with this. And so that was the first deer I saw. And he didn't make it out of the field. So it was a
Nice.
short-lived hunt, but actually, ironically, I just was clearing an SD card this morning from 23, and I'm pretty sure there was a picture of that deer on the card.
Oh, cool.
So it's pretty cool little added memory of it. Now I didn't
that's
know he
cool.
was around, but I'm pretty sure it's the same deer.
That's real cool, dude. It's a good feeling to watch them tip over too.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the best archery feelings ever.
Yep.
So are you going to do it again this year, just on October 9th?
So Rich and I have a kind of a discussion going about whether I'm going to have a buck tag. So I was hoping that I've said it a bunch of times. I actually don't want a deer to show up on that property that I want to hunt because I don't want to get so locked in on hunting a certain deer on that property. Because that's the other thing about it. It's so small. It's typically you're just hunting a specific deer if you're being picky about what you're gonna shoot. So
Right.
I typically end up falling into that trap of the deer I killed in 23. I hunted that deer for 3 years before I actually killed him. I actually thought he was older than 4.5. But I sent the teeth into Deer Age Lab, and that's what they tell me. So we'll go with that. But I hunted him for 3 years before I killed him, and I hope this year that doesn't happen because I want to go to the mountains. Although I put a trail camera out, and there's a pretty nice buck on it. So if he makes it till October, which is actually abnormal. Typically, that property doesn't get anything decent on it until you get into October.
Okay.
And then I'll have a lot of buck activity kind of through mid-November, and then they're gone again.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that he probably won't be around come season opening. But
well, you never know, man. All right. The one that everybody wants to hear, dude. Tell that aoudad story, because man, I love this story so much.
So again, top of Texas outfitter Scotty Campbell, could not recommend that hunt enough. Everyone says it's a poor man's sheep hunt. It was awesome. So I would say not a cushy hunt for the people who are anti-guided hunts. You're not staying in a lavish lodge. You're not eating 5-star meals. You're getting rice and beans and just the average what you'd expect for a house in West Texas. But you're not there for the lodging or the food. You're there to go aoudad hunting. So we got to camp and kind of did the normal stuff that you do when you show up, introductions, eat dinner, and then the next morning we go out and hunt, and it was kind of slow. It was really cold. So West Texas, end of January, typically should probably be like 30s to 60s, I would say. It was 8, so it was cold, really cold.
Yeah, real cold.
And so then the next so that first day was very slow. We saw a couple of rams, nothing to hunt. Stalked in on one to kind of get a better look at him and decided not to shoot. So guide that I was hunting with on that trip, Johnny, awesome dude, very picky, very particular, wants to kill big old rams.
Yeah.
So he was like, Justin, no, don't shoot this one. This isn't what we're looking for. Second morning, we split up a little bit, and so I was with one other hunter, and so we ended up finding a group of rams, and he was shooting first. He shoots, and there's 4, and they kind of disappeared behind this close ridge at 100 yards.
Yeah.
And the outfitter's like, the guide is like, get ready. They're going to come back up to go over the next ridge. You'll get another shot.
Yeah.
So we get ready, and they pop up, and they're like 320. And my hunting partner shoots and drops this ram. So we celebrate, and then Johnny is like, let's go, Justin, get your rifle. We're going after one of those other ones. There's another good ram in that group still. So I'm like, all right. So we grab the rifle, start running after these things. And so we go up to my buddy's ram, just make sure, okay, like he's dead. We found him. Now we're going. So now, mind you, I'm dealing with a sinus infection at the time that I've had for weeks, and I can't get better. So I'm not feeling the greatest. And we're running up and down these hills in West Texas, chasing after these things. So we get to the top of the ridge, and I'm winded because I don't work out nearly as much as I should. And he's like, shoot that thing. And so before I even get a shot, he's like, wait a second, there's blood coming out of that ram. So here, my buddy accidentally, we didn't know it, but he shot 2 different rams. So his first shot, they must have changed position, and we didn't realize it. So when he shot the second ram, it was a different ram than he shot the first time. So now it's like, all right, we're on a mission. We need to catch up to this ram and end this. So we chased them a mile and a quarter, a mile and a half, probably up and down these hills. I shot 4 times, 2 freehand, way too far, not good. And then finally, we got to a point where it was like, okay, they're in this cut. They have to come out. Just lay down, get yourself in a better position to make a good shot, so we don't have to keep chasing after these things. The 2 that weren't hit come out, and the other one doesn't. So it's like, all right, well, did he just die in there, or like what's going on here? So we go sneaking around, and I spot the thing, and he's 60 yards from us, and so he's bedded down. He was hurting pretty bad. So I shot again, and then that was it. Shot him behind the shoulder and killed him. But it was quite a series of events. We sat there for at least 5 minutes trying not to puke because we just from sprinting. I'm not even going to say running, sprinting after these aoudad. So yeah, it was a great hunt. So that whole trip, Scotty and those guys are known for the archery hunts they do, and they have very high success rates on those aoudad with bows. But I was like, man, I don't want to, like, I'm only doing this trip once. I don't want to take the chance that I don't end up getting one. So I took the gun, and hindsight, take the bow, because we could have definitely got it close enough with an easy enough shot that you could kill him with a bow for sure.
Yeah.
But now I want to go back. Like, I thought it was a one-time thing. I want to go back. I'm almost desperate to go back.
Are you going to put other sheep on your list?
Not a big interest for me. I'm more interested in I really want to do an Alaska or BC mountain goat hunt. I was actually I talked to a couple outfitters and was gonna book a hunt, and then in Alaska to hunt Kodiak, and then my wife decided that we needed a pool. We go back to that family balance thing. We have a pool.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong. She's home all summer. She's a teacher, so she and the kids are in it every day. It's become part of their daily routine. So money well spent, but it replaced me going goat hunting.
Yeah. Well, there'll be a day for it.
Yeah. It'll come.
Dude. So what are your plans for this fall?
So pretty light, actually. I messed up and I never applied to Kansas. So I'm the data guy that reminds everybody. And I actually apparently never hit submit on my Kansas application. April 1st, I took a screenshot of what I was applying for to send to the group to remind them. And I don't know what I did, but I never actually clicked the button and submitted it. I didn't draw Kansas this year, which was going to be a muzzleloader hunt in September. So as of right now, I'm going to Ohio, opening week, and I'm hunting PA. I might try to go back to Kentucky again, in their gun season. Got a couple of work trips kind of loosely in the works, but we're kind of running out of time too. So how about you?
Just bear hunting in Jersey. That's an archery hunt. So it'll be October 12th through the 17th. I'm going to go.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited, man. I was talking to the guy the other day. It's a pretty good camp. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. It's all public, but Jersey's got bears.
I just hung a trail camera on Friday that's right across the river from Jersey.
Oh yeah.
And the first thing that was on the camera was a bear. So
yeah.
And that actually opens September 21st. Archery bears in that part of the state is early. So
all right, dude, where can people follow you at?
Well, apparently I need to get off social media, but my Instagram is Justin_Eberly. And then Facebook, same thing. So that's where you can find me.
All right, dude. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Stay in touch. I'm excited for the season to start. Excited to get to hang out with you a little bit, man.
Yeah, likewise. Looking forward to seeing you at camp. We've got some deer to kill.
Yeah, I can't wait. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, man. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening to InCamp Podcast week after week, guys. I really appreciate it. The show's growing. I'm having a lot of fun. But I really hope you enjoyed a conversation like that one, because I know that was one of my favorite conversations of the year. It's always good to have good friends on a show and just kind of tell stories. And I hope you got to take something home from that too, because I know I did. So go check out Judd. He's probably going to take his social media break for the year. I will tag him in the Instagram post. If you could, leave me a rating, leave me a review, send me a direct message, and let me know what you want to hear next. It is one thing that I really want to keep this show going. Remember, it is not just a whitetail show. It's going to be fishing, hunting, outdoors. I'm hoping to have some people, some outdoor rec type stuff soon as well. Come spring and summer, I've got some really good guests for that. So enjoy the show. Share it around. This is InCamp Podcast.